What awakening to me means really is just waking up to the very essence and the soul of who I am with no attachment to any kind of outcome. And this has been a really interesting paradigm shift for me because it forced me to really look at the way I've lived my life, all of my life. And I have realized now that all of my life has been lived with a future orientation. So, all these spiritual traditions speak about being present. And, as somebody who's studied and practiced yoga for many years, I've heard about presence and I understood it conceptually and cognitively. But experientially, I didn't realize how I was not actually practicing what I really wanted to experience in my life, and that was presence. And it wasn't until I wrote my essay of last year that presence really started to come into my life, because I realized that our future is winding down very quickly. And as I've been processing this over the last year, I'm realizing more and more with the internal guidance that I'm getting that at least my timeline, and it's not based on science. Science is certainly supporting it, but my internal timeline is very short. What's coming up for me is that we have less than 5 years left at this current pace that we're going right now. And as you know, I mean, from a scientific perspective, we've reached so many tipping points, and there are so many feedback loops that are playing out. Not to mention, of course, all of the social unrest that is being aggravated and accelerated with what's going on in the world. So there are so many things that are just pointing to total, outright collapse on so many levels that I've been paying closer to attention to my inner guidance and not negating it, even though the timeline is very short. And it's bringing up a lot of really interesting thought that is in many ways it's very surreal, because like I said, I didn't know that I was living in such a future oriented timeline until I started piecing this post together with all of the thoughts that have been coming up for me for the last month. And this realization of living in the present with a future orientation has inspired a question within me, and that is, what does it look like to live with meaning without a future orientation? And that is basically the essence of this post. I mean, like I normally do in these posts, what I do is I highlight the mutation of the human species, of what we have allowed ourselves to become with this civilization of separation, and how inauthentic that is. And then I go deeper into the soul. And what is it like to live in the present moment, knowing that collapse is happening, but without a future orientation? And so for me, it's been an exploration of redefining meaning.